Hey folks, this is Aaron, the Custoda. I'm going to show you how to make a SymLink, we call it, to actually have the folder that all the programs are installed on your iPhone or iPad simulator are stored in. Why would you need access to the programs or actually on the simulator that you're developing? Well, one example is I really like this tool called SQLview, and what it allows you to do is look at your SQLite database. Well, one of the problems with SQLview is that when you open an existing file, you have to browse to it, and by default, you can't see the folder that the database is stored in on the simulator when your app installs. So what I want to be able to do is have a program that I'm using on the simulator that talks to a SQLite database, and I want to close the simulator, open up SQLview, and then look at the data inside of it and see if my program that I wrote the data to the database properly. And so I'm going to show you how to make it so that you can do that. So you can see those files and get access to them. And this is just one example. I mean, some of the other examples is maybe you want to confirm that you're writing to a plist file, a configuration file, and what the settings you're actually writing to are. So by doing this, you'll be able to see all the files that your app's actually using and stuff, and see how from either in Xamarin or from Xcode standpoint, when you push those apps to the simulator, how are they actually ending up there. So it's a neat trick, and it's really easy to do thanks to some some basically Unix, the back end of Mac OS X. So how do we do this? Well, the first thing we need to do is open up the terminal window, which is the scary black box of death that comes with Unix. And how do you find that? Well, that's in the Applications folder on your Mac, and it's under Utilities. Now, of course, you could just also go to the Finder and search for terminal, and then you want to just search Applications. And you can see here that there it is. So I can just double click on it that way. I already have it running, so the other way is you can just go into the Systems Utilities folder, and find terminal there. You also could use Spotlight up here, I guess, if you're also looking to search that way. So Apple does have several ways you can launch that. Whichever way you're most comfortable with, I'm okay with that. So I've got my terminal window open here. And what I need to do is just do ln, and that is the link command for making a symbolic link. So what I could do is just ln space -h. What that does is that gives me the help of how to use this command from the command file. So what we have here is basically it says we need two things. We need to give it the source file and the target file, or the source file and the target directory. So let's show this, how to run this command. So we're going to say we want a symbolic link, and the symbolic link just basically means if you follow it in the OS, it's going to go directly to that directory, but hide the fact that that directory is somewhere else. And if it moves, technically speaking, the symbolic link should follow it. So with that, I want to make it to my folder that the actual simulators stores those files in. And that is not something that you would definitely know out of the, but I'm going to just type it in, and then you can just kind of follow along. So it's in the library folder. In the library, it's called Application Support. So what I'm using is the tab key. I type in enough about the word that I know that's going to autocomplete by hitting tab in the terminal. So, but the other problem is that directories that have spaces in their name, like folders, you have to put an escape character in to say, hey, the next incoming is a special character, and space, technically speaking in the Unix sense, is a special character. It's not a normal letter or number. So that's why you see that slash after the word application, is to support the space in the folder name. The next folder name we want is iPhone Simulator. And once again, it's got a space in the name, so I just hit tab so I didn't have to type in that silly escape character. This command is case sensitive, so if you take a look here, the library folder has a capital L, so I need to make sure I type in a capital L. The application support folder is also case sensitive, so I would have to type in the capital A and then hit the lowercase pp, and just use the tab key then to autocomplete the word application. Now that I have the folder name in there for the place that the files are stored, I need to give the place I want to store them here. What is the link, the folder that I want to emulate that basically. So when I click on that folder, it goes to this place. Well, I'm just going to call that iPhone Sim, just to make it easy on myself. And so I typed in iPhone Sim, and then I just hit enter. Now, what we're going to use is the Unix command ls, and that's the equivalent of like dir in DOS in the old days. And I like to use something called la, and that gives you like all the attributes of that. And so if we take a look here, I did it ls-la, and I hit enter. Here's my command. And the result is right here, I have a directory called iPhone Sim, and that points to library/application support/iPhone simulator. So by theory, now if I go into the Finder UI and I take a look, you'll see that I have an iPhone Sim folder. It's got a little arrow in it. And if I double click on it, you can see here are all the different versions of the iOS simulator that I have on my computer. I have multiple versions of iOS because I need to test those if I'm going to throw those in the App Store. So because of that, you can see I have a folder for each one of those. So when you run this simulator, you need to select what version of the iOS simulator you're running, or your application will then go into that particular folder. I'm going to close the command prompt window here, or the terminal, because I don't need it anymore. So I'm just going to say quit, and I'm going to open up the 7.1 folder, because that's where, in this case, my application lives. So if we take a look here, I'm going to open that up, and you'll see here that now I have all the folders for that simulator that's kind of going on here. Your application that you push to the simulator is going to live in the applications folder. So we're just going to open up that folder, and now you see, if I'm just going to go to the details, you have a bunch of different folders, and it looks like they have GUIDs for their names. Well, that is not 100% friendly then, because you're like, well, which one is my application? Well, let me just get down to the nitty-gritty easy way to do that. The easiest way to do that is to launch Xamarin and just do a build. And so I'm going to call up this new CodeCamp project that I worked on for the East Wisconsin's developer user group. And I'm going to just use the 3.5-inch screen on the 7.1 simulator. And when I hit that and I throw it out, it's going to compile this out and throw it onto the simulator. You can see here, here's my app now running on the simulator. Well, if I go back and take a look at this directory, what I'm looking for is this date to change. So the only way to do that, though, is I need to actually hit the home key and delete the app so it forces a push of the new version of the app to this folder. So you see that one of them just disappeared in the Finder. That means that we know that whatever one that just disappeared is our app. Well, now I'm just going to hit build again, and what will happen is a new version of the app will get pushed out to that folder, and now if I take a look, here's the one that was just done today. This is my application. When you store things like databases in the iPhone, most of the time, the database is stored in the documents folder. And that you can actually tell where it is, but you see, here's my database that my app just created. You also saw that there was a journal file that was getting created when I was using it. Those are actually writing to the database. You know, this is a journaling-based database system, so when you're writing, you know, it's kind of like the best way to describe that is like maybe the transaction log file in SQL Server, because a lot of .NET developers have to deal with SQL Server enough to know a little bit about how the back end of it works. So when I do writes, for example, I'm just going to add a new customer here in my app, say Aaron, and test my company name and click save. We didn't notice that because it's basically so quick that it kind of just did it and it was quick. But when the app first came up and it was installing, it had to build the database from scratch, and that's a lot more heavier of transactions. So that's the reason why we saw those journal files. So I'm going to close out of my iPhone simulator now and go into SQL View and go to File and Open. And now what happens is from my home directory, I can see that iPhone Sim directory. When I go in here and go into 7.1, I can go into my applications. Well, if I just sort these by date, put the newest one on the front, I can just double click here, go into the Documents folder, find my application, and there's my database for my application that I can start looking at. So let's take a look at the customer database. And you have to double click over here in the tables in order to get the thing to show up. And if you single click, nothing happens. So that's just a kind of warning that you have to get used to the program. What I'm going to do is I want to see the data And let's sort it by reverse of the customer. Well, that didn't work out that well. Let's just then do a custom SQL query to see whether or not we can see that new customer that we just made. So let's just go select star from customer. If I could spell today, where, and if we take a look at the customer table, we have a first name. So let's do last name. Last name equals Aaron. And then we'll just run the SQL and we'll see if there's my new customer that was added. That was added in my iPhone app. So now I know that my code worked in my app. And so that's what I wanted to show you today. How can you use, how can you get access to the database files that you're using inside of the simulator to look at the data inside of them. Thank you guys for watching, and if you want to see more things or stuff like that, just throw something out in the comments on YouTube, and I'm more than happy to make videos for people to help them solve problems that they may have as a developer. We're all in this together, folks, so thanks for watching, and hope you have a great day.